So I was totally set up to make a very different video, but then I saw that Sony made an official announcement raising their prices, and now the drum roll begins for everyone. The marble has started down the marble works, and Nintendo is not the only ones with high price stuff. So what's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. I don't like anything being more expensive, but I knew this was inevitable. I knew that eventually, because of the tariff issue, because of the global economy issue, and because of the game cost and price issue, we were going to get price increases from the other platform holders as well. Now, Nintendo, you can say they raised prices. They also have a new console. They definitely raised the game price. Sony is coming in with their move. And it's interesting because it now puts the Switch 2 in, I guess, a bit more of a good situation, right? The more that the PS5 price increases, the better deal the Switch 2 looks. Let me know if that makes you feel better about buying the Switch 2. But let's talk about exactly what went down and how this will impact Nintendo and other things going forward. Sony addresses their customers, saying that with a backdrop of a challenging economic environment, including high inflation and fluctuating exchange rates, Sony Interactive Entertainment has made the tough decision to raise the recommended retail price of the PlayStation 5 console in select markets in Europe, Middle East, Africa, Australia, and New Zealand. The updated PS5 recommended retail prices are effective starting tomorrow, April 14th. Now, for those of you in the US, your price is still the same, but I don't know how long that will last. In Europe, the digital edition is going up about 40-ish euros, all right? 30 to 50 euros, depending on where you purchase from. That is for the digital edition. There's no pricing change for the disc drive edition, but that's becoming less popular as it's already more expensive. In the UK, it's a £40 increase for the digital edition, up to £430. Again, no pricing change for the standard PS5. Australia is seeing the standard PS5 get a 30 Aussie buck increase, and the digital edition, based on what I looked at, getting an 80 Aussie dollar increase, which seems to be quite high. And then New Zealand is getting over $100 in New Zealand dollar increase, based on what I found in the current lowest prices for their standard PS5 and their digital edition. So this is no slight price increase. They're decreasing the disk drive, I guess, therefore to try to make it a little bit softer, because probably Sony makes more money on the disk drive than they do the console itself. So this is kind of their way to try and, I guess, get you to get both. But if you look, like take Australia, for example, the Australian disk drive is now $125, plus the $750 of the digital edition, that is $875, and the physical edition is only raised to $830. So this is a mess. This is not good. This is step one of what is coming. Step two will be game price increases, and step 1.5, I guess, will be the US increasing prices if they do that. So the Switch 2 UK price is now a significant amount cheaper than the PS5 digital. And let's be honest, I think it should be. I think that the PS5 should be more expensive than the Switch 2, but this does, I guess, bring the Switch 2 down. It really doesn't. It's really just keeping the Switch 2 the same and raising the prices of these other consoles. But maybe it makes you a bit happier with Nintendo's decision. Now, Nintendo could have gone for a higher price point, knowing that their competitors were probably going to raise the price of their consoles as the year progressed, but they set their price probably baking that in. So maybe some of the sticker shock that we see from Nintendo fans being like, whoa, this is a very premium price for a Nintendo console, maybe that diminishes a bit, knowing that, okay, Nintendo is setting this price probably with the foresight and the knowledge that, hey, the PS5 is going to be going up. Eventually, the Series X and Series S will be going up as well. I'll be curious to see when this takes effect in the United States and Canada, if they try to hold off as long as possible there. But I feel like it's going to be inevitable. I feel like these prices are going to go up inevitably across the board. And you might have seen some stuff about, oh, electronics are getting exemptions from tariffs, but it's only things that are not video game consoles. It's like phones, it's computers, it's graphics cards. It's not consoles. So video game consoles are not seeing any exemption, meaning they are not going to be not exposed to tariffs. They will still be facing tariffs. And even though they did rescind some of the crazy inflated tariffs, there's no telling if those tariffs come back or if they don't after the 90-day pause. So will Nintendo do anything? I don't think so. I think the best news here is that now Nintendo gets to play good guy because they set their price in anticipation of this. Other companies are going to be raising their prices, and Nintendo is going to be standing pat. I don't know what's better or worse, but I feel like they believe that marketing-wise, it made more sense to come out with a higher price and then not raise it, rather than come out with a lower price and then raise it. Like, what is worse for your marketing move? What is worse for your fan mindshare? Probably raising the price. Now, what's very interesting is that PlayStation is raising the price not of an unreleased console, but of an already existing console. Nintendo is trying to sell you a brand new console, so I think that makes Nintendo's price feel even better. Although nobody's feeling great about $450 for a system, $80 for a game. I'll be curious to see when game price increases actually start to take hold. Maybe it's only going to affect new titles that are coming out. We've yet to see a big, bold new game release since all of this financial catastrophe has gone down. And Microsoft will be an interesting one to monitor because they've got their Game Pass kind of helping subsidize the cost of their games. They just released like South of Midnight at what I would consider a budget price now, and that game is pretty freaking sweet. They did not ask the full $60 asking price, let alone a $70 or $80 asking price. But what happens when Ghost of Yotei comes out? Sony's new first-party game that's primed to be a big release, a big seller, great graphics, tons of gameplay, a huge title. What do they price that at, knowing how the economy is going globally? Their console is going up. It would only make sense that their games go up as well. Now, will Nintendo be able to navigate this smoothly? I think so. I think it'll be interesting to see what they decide to price Metroid Prime 4 at, but I am predicting that Metroid Prime 4 comes in at the $70 price point. I don't know that Nintendo will utilize the $80 price point again this year. I feel like the next game that will potentially have that will be 3D Mario, but then again, based on what Nintendo has said, maybe it won't. Maybe they view 3D Mario as a more linear title, and it doesn't have that durability that Doug Bowser talked about in terms of its replayability and longevity. So maybe Mario Kart is just the one to really try and push the limits, and then they're going to pull back a bit. Again, I think that giving Mario Kart the bundle opportunity to be $50 is going to make that bundle now look even better with these increased PS5 price totals, because I believe in certain regions you can now get the Switch 2 and Mario Kart for the same price as the PS5, and that's giving you a brand new console that is both portable and connects to your TV, and it's giving you probably the hottest game of 2025, especially for fans that already belong to the Switch ecosystem, that already have participated in Nintendo's nonsense. They're going to be like, hey, I could get a PS5 or I could get a Switch 2 and Mario Kart, and that feels pretty darn good. So I think Nintendo at $450 really priced this well. Would $400 have felt better? Absolutely. But they didn't go too high, and yet they didn't go too low. They allowed themselves a position where, thankfully, it seems like they're going to be able to come out at the price that they set. There's not going to be an increase, and you're going to feel pretty darn good about that bundle because it's providing you good value over Mario Kart, and it's providing you good value over the other guys. Like I said, right now, this is limited to these other territories, but I don't see why it won't eventually come to the United States, and I don't see why it won't eventually affect Microsoft and their Xbox as well. So this was coming. This is a big deal, and for Nintendo fans, I guess it doesn't really do anything good for you, but maybe it gives you more perspective and more of like, okay, Nintendo, I guess, could have charged even more. They could have raised the price. This is why they did what they did, because they knew this was coming and they were aware, like, okay, things are going to get crazy. Things are getting rough. It's costing more and more and more. And remember, we have heard from a leading industry analyst that the Switch 2 is still being sold at a loss, that the components themselves cost $400, then they got to put it together, then they got to ship it, then they got to deal with retailers, then they got to sell it to you. So Nintendo is taking a loss even at $450, even at that high price point. And we know that they typically don't like to take losses. They did on the Wii U. I don't know that they did on the Switch. Therefore, they could have bumped this thing to $480. They could have bumped this thing to $500. They could have preemptively gone high, knowing that Sony was going to raise high as well. But at least for the console, I feel pretty strong about that $450 price. That was the right price. I think that's a good price, and that bundle is looking better than ever. Are you surprised that Sony is already making this move. It's only April 13th. The Switch 2 isn't out for another 7 weeks, and we're already seeing the dominoes begin to move. They are teetering, and at least one has fallen. When will the US-Canada domino fall? When will the Xbox domino fall? To me, it is more a matter of when, not if, but we'll wait and see. Also, Nintendo Switch is holding their pre-orders still. I'm hoping that they debut this week, and now maybe after this news, maybe it's a good time to go. Maybe Nintendo says, okay, the PS5 is up in price. Let's launch and show that we are the best value console. And I think given the screen that they have and given the technology that they've put into that thing, combined with the games lineup they have and the one that we know is ahead, because when you're buying a Switch 2, it's not just buying Donkey Kong Bonanza and Mario Kart World, it's like you're buying the commitment and the guarantee that you're getting a 3D Mario, that you're getting access to Smash Brothers and Animal Crossing and Splatoon and Luigi's Mansion and all of these other titles that you just can't get anywhere else. And at the end of the day, Nintendo hands down has the strongest IP, and they are putting a premium price on that. If you want to play Nintendo games, you're going to pay, just not as much as the PS5. Let me know your take in the comments down below, everybody. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Love you lots. SwitchForce out.